And you can just feel in his words how much he loved that person or whoever Robin Williams has in his life.
Mm-hmm.
And like that made me emotional because that's like real fucking love.
Yeah.
Whether it be platonic, romantic, parental, whether it be your kids, like that's like just real love.
Mm-hmm.
And he's telling them like, you don't even know. He's like, I feel sorry for you, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
You think you know something? You think you're smart, you motherfucker? Oh, okay. You don't know shit, just to let you know. So he's putting him in his place.
Yep.
And then he gasses him up like, hey, I got your back.
Yep.
But don't act like you know more than me. So you said in the pre-production, this thing versus wisdom versus IQ.
Absolutely.
So you think wisdom can be sometimes disarming when someone's trying to be over intellectualized?
Yeah, definitely. I think that because, working with gifted students as well is like an important role as school psychs. It's definitely not as common, but it's something that's equally as important because if you're not being challenged by the curriculum, you're not going to want to come to school either. So it's its own type of problem. But I think that like a lot of those kids are used to being able to just like get teachers to run away from them because they're scared of them a little bit. Like they're scared they're going to outsmart them. Like if you can outsmart your teacher, that's a little scary, you know? But there's nothing like street and lived experience. And a lot of the times, like people who are on the higher end of the IQ, they might struggle with that kind of sense of like emotional connection and like building those barriers down. And they might need support in that way. So sharing that level of wisdom is kind of like, and he did it in a very disarming way. Like sharing such an intimate loss of his wife is something that like, how can you challenge that after someone shares it,
Facts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bruh. I do the same thing. I'm going to talk. Spence knows this. I do talks sometimes like different frats. So I got 2 talks coming up in these frats on Sunday. Oh, by the way, Spence, we're not doing a pod on Sunday. I got the frats to talk to. Yeah,
just heard about that. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for putting it on right now.
I'm putting it on. I'll put it on you, boy.
Could have texted me, but it's fine.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, go
I
on.
just remembered.
Yeah, it's all right.
Okay, I'm disabled.
Okay.
I checked it on my application. And one of the ways I'll disarm the boys is to show that emotion. So sometimes I'll ebb and vibe into depression and I'll talk about maybe my history. This, that, loss, grief, failure, anger issues, right? Suicidality, homicidality. And I usually get choked up in random places throughout the story. And you just see the boys like, damn.
Yeah.
And then you just get the emails from them, right? The emails come and they come and they come. That doesn't happen when you do the PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah.
About like services or like, this is what anxiety, like that's not the vibe. Shout out to Lieutenant Colonel White, Purdue University, which is pretty high ranking officer. Continuously wants me back talking to the ROTC kiddos, right? And I do these talks and they're like, holy shit, we want to talk to Nas. And they request me and they can't always get me because I'm like super booked out. It's because of the realness.
Yeah.
It's because of the realness and how I defeminize all this mental health stuff. And I think that's what Robin Williams does there.
Yes.
Like magnificently uses raw emotion. And so Spence, we're as social workers, counselors, we're not taught to do this. Like this whole movie is against literally everything they teach us to do, my guy.
So true.
Like it's like this shit here, like I guarantee you there'd be a couple Karens that'd be like, oh, we're taking him to court to lose his license.
Absolutely.
But this would be the shit that would save their kid from killing himself.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to bring attention to that, that our field is so much more nuanced now. There's a fine line. Don't cross that line. But also, how can we be more real, authentic, emotional?
Yep.
Anything else, Sauce, you wanted to put on the scene, Amber?
No. I loved your summary there. That was a great end for that.
Bruh. It's a good scene.
It is good.
I hope to find a love like that. I think Spencer got one of them now. So, lucky motherfucker.
Same.
Oh, you got one too? Rub it in there, motherfucker. Damn.
Oh, yeah. We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary.
For real?
Yeah.
Very nice.
Damn.
10-year, 2 kids.
That's nice.
Holding strong.
That's awesome. All right. Let's do it, Spence.
Okay, so for third scene, we have Sean and Will in Sean's office, and they're just talking about just love in general, just talking about love. And then we hear the story from Sean about how his wife farts at her sleep and how it's it's just one of his memories of his late wife, and how it's not just about the bigger things that happen in relationships. It's about also those small ones that we remember, like those little intricacies that he says. And how we, once you feel like you have those connections with people, that's when you really feel like this is the person that you should be with. And how it's not just about just having a connection and just saying that you love somebody, but it's also about just noticing those small details that you really feel like you can point out with somebody that you're in love with, and that they can do the same too. And so we're going to be talking, you brought up this thing of just like love and acceptance, but then also Sean sharing this moment with Will. Do you see yourself as somebody, whether it's in students' lives or anybody else's lives, as somebody who is there for advice? It's not just about just giving your psychological kind of assessment or anything like that. It's about really trying to go along and say, like, okay, this is life. This is what it's all about. And it's not always about these big things. It's not always about getting a promotion. It's not about just going on with it. It's about really just trying to find some of the small things to really get attached to, and just keep on moving with life as you kind of go forward.
I mean, doing that with other circles that you have socially.
Yeah. Have you done that socially or with kiddos or with parents, whatever? Yeah.
It's funny because I feel like those of us who are in like the mental health field, a lot of us like naturally have that type of personality. And it's interesting that sometimes you have to be careful to not lean into it too much, because you can easily kind of be like walked on to just be like a listener and advice giver, and like not have that space to have for yourself. So that's why a lot of us go to therapy, because you have to like break that stuff down for yourself as well. But I feel like, coming from a place of sharing vulnerabilities with kids makes them feel like you're a human. And one of my favorite parts of that scene is that in the beginning, Will is telling this story about some like airplane joke. And, Sean tries to transition into therapy mode and like talk about something serious. And Will's right back to like, it was a joke. Like, that's what makes it a funny joke. And that's when he shares the moment about his wife farting, because for him, he's like, okay, he needs this. Like, we need to break this down and like make it a little bit more humor based to get the advice part to sink in, and I don't know. I just like, we've talked about this already, but just that sense of like, people can tell when you're being like genuine and when you share your own life with people. And I think that like all of us more than ever need to feel a sense of like, everything's going to be okay. And that life is hard, but like we're equipped to handle it. And the more you kind of like surround yourself with those circles socially and at work too, matters for people to feel like, you can have toxic circles around you easily. It's really easy to do that. It's easier for humans to talk negatively, I think, than positively.
100%. A lot of autistic folks will get into it, but a lot of us don't. We're just like, I'm not doing this shit.
Healthy.
I'm not doing. I'm like, this is fucking stupid.
Yep. That's because you don't fall into the small talk bubble of just like, there's no time for this.
What do we do? We're not getting anything from this. It's like, this is all right. Well, unless I hate homeboy, there's a few people I will talk shit to. When you're watching a scene like this, have you ever told any of your friends about the ways your husband farts?
That's so funny.
There's no way. I'm not gonna lie. Spence, have you ever talked about it with like, she farts really loud? I feel like that's not ever happened.
No, I don't.
But that's what's funny about counseling sometimes, is that like there is like a vulnerability you can be in counseling because it doesn't leave that room.
Yeah.
But like with your social circles, like you're not going to expose them like that.
No, that'd be wrong.
Woke up the dog like stinking. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
It's wild. Yeah. The fact that he shared that. So he says this thing, I think he tells him, you talk more than any other fucking psychologist I ever met. Isn't that this scene?
Yes, it is. Yep.
So that's not a good thing in the circles today,
Mhm.
but it's nuanced in this movie and in real life, right? Most of the time your clients will, as folks that are listening, you're going to be doing majority of the leading, but sometimes the counselor could lead you down a path with a story. So before we get into the next scene, it's a lot of folks of color will share stories. That's what I want to talk about. Like Black and brown folks, a lot is story-based, wisdom-based. As we know, going further and further and further and further back, there wasn't always books, right? And so there's always someone that is the keeper of the history, whether you go all the way back to like Native American culture, right? Even there's always someone with the keeper. And so stories are like a big thing in our populations. And so a lot of my family, it was stories. Grandpa, right? It's just stories. And then you get a lot of autistic folks that will share their special interests, and it's very much story-based. And they're like, you always bring it back to yourself. And it's like, no, I'm trying to say I understand how you feel based on this similar story. I'm not trying to overtalk you. I'm trying to say, like, yes, I agree with you through my story. So that does happen sometimes. I do share quite a bit of like stories with folks. I mean, students are pouring their heart out. I'm also like, I'll give you a little bit too. I'll give you a little bit. Yeah. So just something to keep in mind, folks, when you're neurodivergent, it's fine to share stories if you're trying to relate to people. But obviously don't take up too much room. But I think Robin knows that homeboy's not going to talk. And so he's going to lead him to water with the story, with realness. And eventually the kid like loves it. Yeah. Because it's real. And like they're cracking up. I mean, they're like laughing. Like that's like fucking the purest laugh.
Absolutely.
Yes. We were doing some of that throughout the pod today. Like your stomach fucking hurts laugh.
Yeah.
If you get that from a client, you got him. I think Spence said earlier, like he got him at that other scene on the bench. Like he got him on that scene. And then I feel like he like solidified it with his wife's farts.
Yeah, anything with a good laugh gets you.
Bruh.
Laughing and food.
But again, it's love. Fucking Robin Williams.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. Check out the full episode on our channel and anywhere you find podcasts. Also, remember to like and subscribe. Whoop whoop.